In October 2016, creepy and bizarre sightings of clowns popped up in South Carolina and in Wisconsin. Reports of clowns standing under street lights at night and coming out in the woods to lure children away from their homes started a huge panic. Police told neighborhoods to report any sightings right away, but were afraid that widespread attention would hamper investigations and create more copycats. As time passed, reports died down and no one ever knew why the clowns came out so frequently and in such a short amount of time. About 35 miles south of Albuquerque lies a stone with the 10 Commandments written on it. Nothing to see here, right? Well, what is bizarre is written in the old Hebrew alphabet with some Greek letters mixed in it. Professor James D. Taylor claims to have discovered it in 1933 and is believed to be the inscriptions is 500 to 2,000 years old. Another scholar proposes the stone is a Samaritan mezuzah. These claims would mean Samaritans have somehow migrated to the New World before Columbus. Of course, most just chuck it all up as one big hoax. Sam Hanley and his wife were living in a new home in Houston, Texas, and were about to dig up a part of their land to put in a swimming pool. Before he started to dig, an elderly black man arrives at his door and tells him he's about to dig up human remains. Proceeding to dig anyway, he found what the old man said: human skeletons. The land was once a burial ground for African Americans but was made into a subdivision. Soon after, the Hanleys started reporting bizarre happenings: shoes being taken, placed outside, sliding doors opening with anyone around, and dozens of neighbors reported similar occurrences. The Hanleys tried to sue the developers with legal action but lost it in court and filed for bankruptcy. On September 20th, 1988, in New Mexico, Tara rode off on her bike and never returned. When Tara didn't come home, her mother went out to look for her and found Tara's cassette tape on the side of the road. She immediately called the police, however, the case went cold. A year later, 1,600 miles away, in Florida parking lot, a woman found a Polaroid on the ground showing a girl and boy tied up with duct tape across their mouths. Tara's mother got word of the picture and was convinced it was her. She had Scotland Yard analyzed it and they determined it was Tara. Unfortunately, both her parents died before finding out what happened to her, and the case is still open till this day. Using sonar technology, researchers in 2003 discovered a stone structure under the Sea of Galilee in Israel. The structure is made of basalt boulders stacked up on top of each other. It is definitely man-made and was probably first made on land before water levels rose and covered it up. Some researchers believe it could be over 4,000 years old and is possibly the remains of an ancient city. A rainy day in Oakville, Washington is as common as they come, but on August 7, 1994, residents reported not water but strange gelatine blobs falling from the sky. It fell a total of 6 times over a period of 3 weeks. Not long after, many of the residents grew violently ill, describing vertigo, difficulty breathing, and blurred vision. A woman took a sample of the blob to the hospital. The lab technician said he had never seen anything like it before. The sample was immediately sent to Washington Department of Health. The scientists found 2 species of bacteria, one which lives in the human's digestive system. They concluded it must have been human waste released out of an airplane, but airplanes are forbidden to release waste in mid-air. Another theory was it could be exploded jellyfish blasting into the atmosphere from military bombing runs, but the military denies these reasons. It was just another day in the Holy Roman Empire when a woman went out into the streets of Strasbourg and danced for days. Within a week, 34 people had joined, and in a month, 400. These people died of strokes, heart attacks, or plain old exhaustion. Physicians at the time recommended that instead of stopping them, they'd rather let them dance more, thinking it would burn out of the system. To help with this, they invited musicians to come play music for the dancers. Modern theorists believe they were poisoned by the toxic chemical in weed that is closely related to LSD. Others think it could have been stress-induced psychosis. One Christmas Eve, the only guy you want coming into your house is Santa, and the only fire you want is in your fireplace. But unfortunately for the Sodders, you can't always get what you want. It was 1945 in West Virginia, and the Sodder family was a large Italian immigrant family celebrating the holiday. That night, their house caught fire, and George, his wife Jeannie, and 4 of their 9 children escaped. When the fire burned the house to rubble, the bodies of the other children were never found. Bizarre occurrences happened before and after the incident. Strange telephone calls, missing escape ladders, and in fact that the fire marshal blamed the fire on faulty wiring, when George Sodder had the whole house rewired with new wires. Years later, 2 men claimed that they were the missing Sodder children, but later denied it. A letter also came with no return address with a picture that looked just like Louis Sodder. The Sodder family never believed the children died but were kidnapped. They didn't rebuild the house. A memorial to their 5 kids was put in its place. In 1999, Hae Min Lee disappeared, and a month later her body was found in Leakin Park. She was apparently a victim of a strangulation. Adan Said, her ex-boyfriend, was quickly convicted and given a life sentence of 30 years. Except it is not that easy. The podcast brought the case new attention and raised plenty of questions that make the case feel unresolved. Especially the cell phone tower records used against Adan are faulty and inconclusive, and Adan's alibi's testimony never got a chance in court. There were also other potential suspects that the police never followed through on, and Adan's Shetty's lawyer may not have been in her right mind. The case may get a retrial and is still under investigation by private parties. In 2014, Malaysian Airlines Flight 370 took off from Kuala Lumpur headed towards Beijing. It never arrived at its destination. It disappeared without even a distress call or a signal. Afterward, the most expensive search was underway, looking in various spots across the Indian Ocean, but with little to no evidence of the crash anywhere. 3 participating governments searched for 3 years with little to show for it, and eventually halted the search. Many theories popped up over time, including that it was shot down, a victim of a cyber attack, terrorist attack, and paranormal activity. Regardless, the mystery remains unsolved, with little probability of it ever being found. If you enjoyed this top 10 video, please give this video a like, and also comment down below what you would like to see in the next top 10 video. Also, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you guys in our next top 10. Cheers.